Our Lord and our God, we thank you one more time for your faithfulness and your grace that you showered upon us, that you've given us the opportunity one more time to come and sit in our midst and direct affairs. Spirit of living God, tonight we bring in our college students into your hands, Lord. Even as we're going to talk about life on campus and things that our young men and women need to do to excel. Father, I pray that at this time, please enter every campus. Let your power reign. Grant us the grace that, Lord God, will be taught of you. Every heart that is so hardened, Father, I pray that you melt that heart right now. And I commit the panel into your hands, Lord God. I grant them the utterance, and grant them the wisdom and understanding that you speak through them. We thank you and we bless you for even all those who are going to Zoom in, Lord God. Let your favor be with them. Bless every household tonight, Lord God. And in the end, be careful to give you all the praise and adoration. Amen. 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 Thank you, guys. Once again, we're back. I mean, we took a month break and we are back. This is Agape Life Youth Ministries, our Zoom series. We're supposed to be having this if it had not been a COVID. So we thank God for Zoom, that we're using the Zoom platform to talk to each other and encourage each other, edify each other in the things of God. Tonight, it is a privilege to talk to our young people, especially those who are in college. And there are a few of them that are told to Zoom in. If your child is in 10th grade, 11th grade, let them Zoom in. You know, you never know what they're going to get. 12th grade, it's for all people, from 10th grade all the way up to grad school, So everybody who's going to have something out of this. Our topic today is College Hill, a crash course on surviving your college years. And sorry, I didn't introduce myself. My name is Pastor Ernest. Most of my young people will be calling me uncle, so please don't get it's the same, We're family, so if they address me as that, that's fine. This is Agatha Life Ministries, and we are just blessed to be given this platform by our senior pastor, Reverend Dr. George Ademita, for the young people to connect with other young people within the church and outside of the church, So it's just one big family that we come together and talk about issues that pertain to the lives of our young people. This topic, we had two Bible verses that we touched today. So the first one is Matthew 7:7-8. Which says that ask and it will be given unto you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and one who seeks finds, and the one who knocks, the door will be open. So keep this at the back of your mind. That's all you have to do. You have to knock. You have to seek. You have to ask. If you don't do these things, you're paying all this money on college, on the college campus, nothing will come to you automatically, okay? The other Bible verse we have was Proverbs 25:28, which I really like a lot. It says, like a city whose walls are broken through is a person who lacks self-control. It says if you lack self-control, you are just like a city without walls. Everybody goes through, okay? It's nothing good happens when that happens. So tonight, we're going to be talking about issues, especially on campus, and why people, when they get on campus as freshmen, need to go to all the orientations. Okay, how they need to get organized, finding ideal place to study. Sometimes the dorms are noisy. Everybody has a strategy. So my people on here will be talking to you and sharing their personal experiences, meeting, how to meet your professors and your counselors, the essence of doing that, and how to seek a balance. College life is meant to be exciting, but you have to have a balance. And how to do that, we're going to talk about all that, making time for yourself, because we don't want you to leave home as this energetic, fun-loving person, and then you come home like a zombie, okay? So taking time for yourself, taking responsibility for yourself, a whole host of things that we're going to talk about, So just sit back and just observe it. And then we're going to have this conversation with a panel for about 45 minutes to an hour. And then we're going to open the lines for your contributions and your questions. If you have questions that you want to direct to a particular person, you can say that, hey, this question goes to Mr. So and so, okay? So first, let me introduce the panel we have. And when I call your name, please wave. You can unmute yourself, please, panel. First on our list, so we have 3 people who are still in school and 3 who are out, okay? So I'm going to introduce those who are in school. First, we have Abna Afari. Mabna, she can wave. Yeah, that's Mabna. That's my girl. She's a senior at Grinnell College. Right in what?
In Grinnell.
Is it near Des Moines?
About an hour away from Des Moines, yeah.
Okay, about an hour away from Des Moines, Iowa. That's country. She is majoring in biological chemistry, and Spanish. That's a double major. She hopes to serve the underserved by addressing systemic causes of inequity and breaking down barriers to healthcare. So, ladies and gentlemen, Abena Afari. Next, we have Nanaya Sarkodie. Hey, Virginia. Nanaya Sarkodie is one shy person, but we've broken that, right, Nana?
Yeah, for sure.
Nanaya is a 3rd-year student at the University of Virginia. She's in the School of Nursing, studying to be a nurse. Her goal is to design and implement health practices that promote health equity and actively assess the psychosocial, mental health, physical, and nutritional needs of all patients. So, ladies and gentlemen, once again, Nana Yasa Akodie. Nana, can you wave, please? Because there are people from Ashton who are on, they want to know who you are. All right. Next is Nora Daku. I don't have to. Well, just before I go on, Abna is not in Iowa. She's in Maryland because they're doing virtual for this semester. Nanaya is back on campus, so she's in Virginia. They are doing, they going to classes. And the next is Nora Daku. Nora, can you wave?
Hello, everyone.
This is Nora. Nora is a final year student, and actually Nora graduates in a month. You have what, 6 weeks?
October 30th, yeah.
October, yeah. So Nora graduates. Nora should have graduated by COVID, Nora is at University of Maryland, Baltimore County, studying vascular ultrasonography, okay? Nora enjoys reading and food tasting, Okay, it's a whole lot about her, but this is all that she wants me to say right now. So Nora is single too. She's cute. Wave, Nora, wave again.
Hi.
That's Nora. But please don't be calling me because she's taken. All right? Now, for those that are out of school, my girl, Miss Gina Amponsa. Gina, can you wave?
Hi.
You all know Gina. This is not her first time here. She's no rookie to this conversation. Gina is a business consultant with a background in contemporary communications and psychology. So that's Miss Gina Amponsa. Then we have Mr. Kweku Bent. Kweku.
I'm here. I'm
There
here.
we go.
I'm here.
Come on,
I'm
man.
Here. I'm here.
That's Mr. Kweku Bento. He's also not new here. You all know Mr. Kweku Bento. Mr. Kweku Bento is an IT auditor, graduated from Frostburg State University, and then did his master's at the University of Maryland College Park, has a master's in cybersecurity. So that's Mr. Kweku Bento.
I have to make one more edit to my bio.
Why?
Because I'm no longer an IT auditor.
Oh, you're no longer IT auditor?
No, I signed a new offer for a new job today, so I'm no longer an IT auditor.
Congratulations, sir.
Thank you.
Hey, you know my account number, right?
I do not actually.
Okay. Last but not the least, man, this is my man, Joey Ofori. Mm-hmm. But you can call him Smooth. That's his nickname. Hey. Mr. Joey Ofori is a graduate of the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, where he graduated with a degree in what?
Media communications and
communication and visual arts, right?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. And then went to law school in Florida Coastal School of Law, where he got his Juris Doctorate. He's currently working as a lawyer with Ofori Law Firm. So that's our lawyer, Ofori Smooth. So if in case you hear people addressing him as Smooth, that's what everybody calls him. So ladies and gentlemen, this is our panel, and we're ready to go. So I'm going to pose my first question to, well, I want everybody to take part in this, okay? But I will go around. But the first goes to Abena, okay? We know our young people just left, some just left home, some are doing virtual for freshmen. Now, what do you think they are going through right now? Now, you've been, just 3 years ago, you were in the same position, okay? Your parents dropped you off at school for the first time. What is going through your mind? What is the feeling like being in a strange place?
Okay. For me, I would say, I guess one thing that was going through my mind is how to adjust or how to adapt, just kind of getting used to the campus and things like that. Fortunately for me, my situation, I had visited the school prior, so I kind of had a feel for the campus and what the students were like and things like that. But I definitely think coming onto the campus for the first day, it could be a little bit daunting because you may not know a lot of people, or you may not necessarily, I mean, of course, you don't really know what the college life is like. So that's one thing to consider. And for me, I never lived like away from my parents in that way. I never went to like boarding school or anything like that. I always went to like day school. So that was definitely a new experience, which can be challenging for a lot of people, but it definitely is manageable.
Okay. Nanaya.
I think for me, the first thing that was going on in my head was like, dang, there's a lot of white people in here. I was pretty much culture shocked when I went to UVA because I mean it's a predominantly white institution with about like 60% white people. So that was my first reaction, like, okay, now I'm a black student out here. What am I gonna do? And I think that just trying to really not necessarily fit in, but really find my own like niche was really important to me. So it was just like, okay, how do I navigate in a space where I'm not familiar with, just like Mamna said, but also be able to feel comfortable and feel like I belong. I think those were the things that were going through my head.
Okay. Nora, man, you getting ready to get out. How was it like being on campus for the first time as a freshman?
For me, honestly, I think I was ready to leave the house. So I was a little happy. And also because my sister was already at the school, so it wasn't too much of a difference for me. So my sister would like help me find my way around, help me with like classes, things to pick out, things like that. And then she helped me until I found my way, and then I was just on my own. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So for those of you that have been, you're no longer on campus, Jane, I'm going to come to you. Same question, but I want you to relate to this freshman what is going through their mind, that, and what you think they need to do. Especially those who are wondering, man, I miss mommy, I miss daddy. What am I going to do? You can add that to yours, please. Go ahead, Gina.
Well, I think every person who's going to start off on campus on their college journey, you have expectations. Some of them are realistic, some of them are not so realistic. So I think that there's definitely like a coming of age culturally with, getting to a university or going to college. And it's like the first major decision that you are making on your own about your future. So I think that there's pressure in that sense, but you're also trying to prove to yourself and to others that you can do it. So even if you feel like you miss your parents, you probably not going to call them because you don't want to show like you miss them. You kind of wait if they call you kind of thing. So it's a little bit of figuring it out in the beginning, but then I think the more secure you get in your why and the reason why you are there, what your why is, the quicker you can navigate that space and define it, those things will kind of start to dissolve and go away, because college is more than just living on your own. There's so many layers, your identity, your mental health, your social skills, your knowledge set that you're going to be building on. So the quicker you get to grasp what the scope of your college journey is, then you get a little bit more secured in how to, be an independent, but then still keep your ties at home.
Okay. DJ Earthquake. Well, my man Kweku is also a DJ, and that's his DJ name, DJ Earthquake. Kweku,
That wasn't
you?
In my bio. You don't have to.
It's not in your bio. Hey, this is home thing, so don't worry about that.
Okay.
What about you, man? You remember what it was like first day on campus in Frostburg, and what would you tell our young people, especially what they are going through right now?
So I remember, I mean, I was ready for the experience. I had the way I operate is a lot different from other people. Like I could be a loner in the midst of a bunch of people. I just observe and watch. So my whole thing was that I was prepared to just understand the lay of the land. I would say that in the beginning, I wasn't like in a rush to be like friends and buddy, but of course I had some people from high school that came to Frostburg as well, so we would hang out. But I would just try my best to understand the lay of the land. So I would go for walks around the campus, just trying to understand where everything was, where my classes would be, the understanding the times where we can eat, and just finding different spots, going up and down the library, going up and down places that I probably would never step foot in ever for no reason because my classes would never be there just to
Mm.
look and see. So I would always say the best thing to do, even though it's like sometimes in this current time not everybody can be in person and on campus. Take time to find out the campus itself. Find out some shortcuts or just take time to understand where you are, so that in the event that somebody gives you instructions or somebody needs instructions, you can be the go-to person. Not saying that you have to do that, but long story less long, I was prepared for it, and I just kept preparing myself for it by understanding the lay of the land.
Yeah, I think even those who are doing virtual, you can still, get on, social media, internet, and find out what is going on in the schools. The fact that you're not there does not mean you shouldn't know what is going on. So people can still do that. Joey, Smooth.
Yeah.
I know it's been ages, man, but just bring your mind back to that.
Yeah, like for me, I was kind of like Nora. Like I was ready to like get out of the house and like just like be independent. So it kind of like going to college is like it's like your first time being somewhat independent. Like you're there, your parents are gone. They drop you there and they're gone. So now you have to kind of figure out on your own. No one's gonna wake you up for class. No one's gonna do this. So I guess for me, it was more of like kind of like what everyone said, getting a scope of the campus, seeing where things are at. So seeing what things you would be interested in doing, like where's the lunchroom, where's the game room, the study room, kind of have like a game plan of where things are at, so that when things start rolling, you're not too lost. But I mean, yeah, enjoy it. I mean, yeah, you should definitely try and enjoy it.
Okay, so I see Smooth talking about the mega freedom that you're experiencing right now as freshmen. I mean, we're on the freshman right now. We'll go to other classes, but guys, how can you speak to these young ones that one, they're having all this freedom, and at the same time, they have to maintain their sanity, okay? How do they navigate that? What are some of the steps or, the advice you give them, that enjoying the freedom, but at the same time, have a balance so that they wouldn't be driven off a cliff, because it's just like a huge trap that they are in right now. Let me see, Nana, if you can start with that.
I think that for me, I feel like everyone has their first year crisis where like, they're like figuring things out, and then after a good month, you're like, oh crap, I have an exams coming up. But so for me, I think that one thing that after my first semester, which was my worst semester in college, I think that I had to pretty much set goals for myself, and also just set goals for myself, which Papa actually encouraged me to do. He got me like this book that I could use to write down my goals. So I think eventually I was just able to manage my time wisely, and not only like manage my time wisely, but really understand the goals that I wrote down and how I was going to accomplish them. And I just had to make sure that I was prioritizing a lot of different, prioritizing school. So even if it was like a Christian fellowship that like I had to go to, but then I had an exam, it was like, I just let them know that, hey, I can make it. But just really writing down my goals was one thing that really helped. And I guess later on I'll talk about I guess there's a situation where I had with the Christian fellowship where like it just ruined my whole week and almost ruined my semester, but
Man,
I can talk about it later.
you guys don't know what this lady is talking about. She had an exam and she went to a Christian fellowship retreat.
Yeah,
She ended up failing that exam.
I like pretty much like failed all my exams, called Papa out. Like every single time I feel like I did bad on the exam. Papa knows, like he's the first person I'll call, literally cry for like a good 30 minutes with yeah, but that experience, I was like, yeah, it's important to prioritize God, but in that situation, it was just not the right time to go to a 3-day Christian retreat.
All right. Hey, Abna, how did you navigate your freedom versus maintaining your sanity, being on campus?
I agree with you. I think it has a lot to do with priorities and also remembering why you're there. Because of course, primarily we're there for our education. So a lot of it for me includes scheduling things and like actually writing things down, because I tend to get involved into a lot of things. And so sometimes it's easy to forget certain things that I have to do, certain events or whatever the case is. So for me, one thing that I made sure to do was to make a schedule, of course, of my classes, but also like events that I want to go to, activities that I want to do, things like that, and making time for it, because it helps you to see, okay, this is what I need to get done, this time to this time. This is where I need to be at this place, this time, that kind of thing. So it kind of helps you to, I guess, find that balance, so to speak, because you can just plan it into your schedule, that kind of thing. So that's one thing that I would definitely encourage people to do, really schedule things. And also remember to also schedule like time for yourself. Self-care is very important, because you can be pushing yourself, you can be on 10 trying to get these grades, and it can all come crumbling down if mentally you're not okay, physically you're not okay. Because at the end of the day, you're a human being and you're the one who's going to be responsible for doing the work, getting to these classes. So make sure that you also take care of yourself. The grades are important, but they're not everything. You need to also prioritize yourself as well.
Abna, when you say take time for yourself, can you give us a couple of examples what you did?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for me, this is something that was new to me, like taking naps. A lot of people tend to do that. That's not something that I had done before. I'm just like, either I'm doing my work or I'm not, that kind of thing. I didn't really like take time to kind of just rest or decompress. I think that's something that can be helpful for a lot of people. Or if it's, okay, maybe going to, for example, in Yas' case was going to Christian fellowship, maybe not in that particular weekend per se, but making time to like do things that are important to you, do things that are fun for you. That's like going to a game, for example. I would go to some sports games, or go watch a movie, hang out with friends, whatever it is for you. Find those things and make time for them as well. You have to also, have a life as well. That's also important. So do that too.
Yeah, I know you didn't go to no basketball game because your school sucks in basketball. So
wow, okay.
That's a discussion for another time.
You're not lying though. But.
Nora, what was yours like? How do you handle it?
Yeah, just to add on to what Abna said, taking care of yourself is very important, because I remember, I think this was sophomore year. I guess I just followed friends. If you're in college, there's this like study time. You go into a library at like 3 a.m. or like 2 a.m. You study till 6 a.m. Then try to take your final like an hour or two after that. So that's the thing we used to do. And not prioritizing time. I didn't know how to manage time. I didn't know how to study well. So I would just go with my friends who would study, and I almost missed my final one time because I overslept. So I think that's very important to make a calendar, like put things down on your calendar, and also learn how to study properly, learn how to manage your time. And also I encourage you to read your syllabus once you get it, so that you know when your exams are, so you can schedule accordingly. If you have an event coming up, you know which one to go and which ones not to go to. So.
Okay, Gina, see, I think Nora touched on something that I want you to add to your, since you, Kweku, and Joe will be addressing not just freshmen, but those sophomores, juniors, and seniors, because you out of it, So not just on freshmen, but for you, what would you talk to them about the balancing act and the importance of, I think Nora talked about scheduling and, knowing the schedule and all that. Can you add these orientations and all that to it so that even though there are people who last year, they had to do one semester on campus, the other semester, half of the semester, they did virtual because of COVID. So they still may not have found themselves yet. So if you can speak to that, please.
Yeah, I think that an observation we can all agree on, and that I've spoken, Uncle Ernest, we've talked about this, and I talked to other incoming students about, is that when you enter into your college years, you're either one of two people, and one of two things will happen. So coming in, as we said, you have your orientations, you get settled into your dorm, you get your kind of circle of friends. You're either an influencer or you're going to be easily influenced. And there's no in between.
Okay.
It's black and white. And that's very clear from the boundaries and the standards you maintain from the day you start. Another part of that too is that you either find yourself in these critical years or you will lose yourself completely. And the reality is that depending on, the school you go to or the campus life, the construct of college and being in this bubble and this controlled environment, but it's super influential, is that all the factors are working for you to lose yourself, break you down, and then build you back up. So if you don't have to go through that fire, it's not all the time you need to touch fire to know you're going to get burned. If you can just heed to people's experiences, advice, we don't like to admit it, but everything your parents have set you up for, up until the day you go, it will come back in handy, and you're going to see reflections of that. So
not to cut you off, please don't forget to add a sponge thing in there.
Okay, so and a part of that too is it will all come back in handy. And also on the part about you either being an influencer or being influenced, you all are coming in, we all came in horizontal. Your parents can be the richest of the rich or the struggling of the struggling, but when you come in as a freshman or as a new year student, you're all coming in horizontal. So you're in this absorption mode where you're like a sponge. And you're coming in with no predetermined construct, or all of your expectations could completely be shattered in one day. So either you're going to absorb a lot of bad content, like if you take a sponge and you absorb a ton of grease, the chances are that if it's greased up, you're not going to be able to use it again. The longevity is cut off.
Yeah.
But when you get a new sponge and it's absorbing water, it's absorbing soap, it's absorbing agents that are like for life and longevity, you can be reused, refined, and used over and over and over and over and over again. So I think all of us have, if we look back on it, that's analogous to how our experiences have been and are going for those who are still in school. And so when you put that together and you decide, am I going to be an influencer or am I going to be influenced? Am I going to find myself or am I going to lose myself? Those are some of the motivating factors that will allow you to do better time management, be very vocal and confident in your priorities, and also be true to yourself. If you're not into going out all the time, you don't have to feel like if I don't do this, I'm exposed. No, you are who you are for a reason. And all the time, especially with African students, I mean, we talk about it that your other friends, especially our Anglo-Saxon brethren, they can go out and party from 12 midnight to 7 a.m., be at class at 8 a.m. and get a 4.0. If we try to go do that, it's another story. It just, like Nora said, like she overslept, right? Like it just may not be the same thing. And it probably is because the calling and the mandate on, our lives, or the prayers that our parents have prayed and people like you have prayed, is different. So it will call you out. It will expose you. So if you lose yourself and you're trying to, maybe you're just doing too much to figure it all out too quickly, or you're doing too much to meet certain expectations that are not even being put on you, that's when you kind of fall into that hole. So it's just key to take some time, like Mabna said, do a lot of self-care, whether it's taking naps, whether it's having your devotion. Sometimes you have to eat alone to just figure it out. You don't always have to eat with your friends or go to the union or what have you. Take that time to always recenter yourself, because if your center and your foundation isn't strong, you will be swayed in any which direction.
Okay. All right. Hey, Joey, I know Gina talked about the fact that going to class, and in addition, if you have, I want you to add this to it from you, then I'll go to Kweku. I mean, people get on campus and they think they are in high school. You know, probably they were valedictorians in high school. They don't study for exam and they go and they ace it. But they don't realize that college is a different cat, you know? You need to go to classes. You need to show up, you know? Please talk about that. And then if there's anything on the previous question that you want to add to it, you can add that to it.
Yeah, so I know, at least for me, coming from high school to college, just the class experience alone was pretty different. Like, you could be the smartest in high school, but now that you're in college, you kind of have to figure out your own study methods. You kind of have to figure out, you know, what you have to do to, to pass the class, because you're pretty much on your own now, because not what works for you doesn't work for everybody else. So yeah, you can be the smartest, but you still need to go to class. I mean, kind of like what Abna said, you're there for a purpose, and you have to you're there to graduate. So I mean, you just have to think about your future. Think about, you're there. I mean, even though you're alone, you're independent, you want to better yourself for the future. So, I mean, yeah, you have to study, you have to go to class, you have to pass. And even if you don't pass some classes, it's not the end of the world. You just got to really figure out what works best for you in terms of studying, in terms of scheduling. And yeah, you're there for a purpose. So you just gotta stick to it, really.
Okay, Kweku,
Yes, sir.
lay it on us, man.
I just want to make sure I'm answering the question correctly. Could you just repeat it one more time to make sure so I can confirm?
We were talking about the fact that getting on campus, and some people thinking that, the way they were breezing through high school, they can do the same thing in college, not realizing that, college is a different breed altogether.
Yeah.
What would you say to these youngest, man?
So I first will concur with what Gina said about being influenced or being an influencer. But I believe as you progress in college, you either stay the same, or you unknowingly sometimes become an influencer. And I found myself in that predicament where I didn't think I didn't follow everybody, but I follow certain people, and when I realized it wasn't for me, I stopped following those people. I stopped or not associate with them as much. But one of the biggest things, and I shared this with you yesterday, Uncle Ernest, was that how you operated in high school isn't how you're going to operate in college. Naturally, in high school, you don't have the luxury of picking late high school classes. In college, you do. What a lot of people fail to realize is just because you get up early and go to classes in high school doesn't mean that you're an early morning person. The biggest thing that you need to do is to be very real. This is the time where, if there's any other time that you need to be real with yourself, this is the time that you need to be real with yourself. You need to be, okay, am I a morning person or am I an evening person? When I wake up, will I be able to have the strength to focus for all 4 or 5 of my classes today without dozing off in class? Like, those are just realities that you have to accept from the jump. And if you're going to live a fallacy and believe that, I did it in high school so I can do it in college, doesn't really equate, because there's a lot more luxuries that you have. You have the ability to, I'm not saying that you couldn't stay up late while in high school, but you have the ability not only to stay up late, but to also to interact with your peers who are from different walks of life. So things may intrigue you And conversations may extend past, your normal quote unquote bedtime. Yeah, you can police yourself. It's like, oh, I'm going to go to sleep. But the comfort and the enjoyment of it sometimes escapes you. And that's a real thing and a real feeling, like if you think about it now, if we think about how our parents communicate with their friends, we can see that sometimes like they can be talking until 1 a.m. in the morning. That's the same realistic thing that's happening in college. So you just have to be able to be very real with yourself, be very honest with yourself and the type of person that you are. Granted, you will change, because I think they say that nobody really people stop changing after 25, but some people aren't like that. Be very honest with yourself, be very real with yourself, and say, hey, if this is me and this is how I think I best operate, go with that. And as you're going along, be honest with yourself too. Okay, no, I kind of lied to myself. I kind of sold myself a dream. I need to be more vigilant in this part of my decision making. I can't be wishy-washy on this part of my on my thought process when it comes to this. So having that very healthy and mature dialogue with yourself will be a key asset. Okay.
So this dialogue that Kweku is talking about, it's based on maturity. Right now you're not in a place where your teachers, like high school, your teachers who keep reminding you of when the finals or schedule and all that. We often say that college is expensive, but one thing people don't realize is that all that money that we are paying, you guys, you don't pay, we pay for those. All that money that we are paying is because of the lecturers you have, the resources that is on campus. There's so much that we're paying for, and most people don't use those things. Nora, I need you to address resources on campus and how our young people can take advantage of that. How to, get a relationship with a professor, how to approach professors, what to do and take advantage of the resources that is on campus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you are right. So college is expensive, and there are a lot of free resources. But if you don't know, then you don't know it. Then you miss a lot of things. There are tutors on campus you can use. If you go to the writing centers, there are people there who can help you. And like, these are all free resources that you can utilize to pass your classes or do well in your classes. There's some like books that you could rent for a cheaper price. I don't think it's like a good idea to buy your books from the bookstore, but if you could get like, I know at my school they had Checks, which was like a bookstore off campus. You can use that. There's Amazon, you could get that. You could get books on there for a cheaper price. I don't know, but I think also, if you have friends, you can ask, like, people know things. So if you make friends, like, it's important to ask your friends about things they know so they can hook you up. You don't always have to spend money in college. You can always find your way around and get things for free. So.
Okay. Abna, can you pick it up? I mean, your strategy when it comes to using resources on campus.
Yeah, first I would say I definitely agree with Nora. Each school's resources, it may look very different, but I would definitely say you should make use of like academic advising or whatever they may call it at your school. A lot of schools now have this thing called like disability resources, or they can make accommodations for students. A lot of people don't realize that they may need these things until they get to college. It can also be very humbling to have to kind of admit that you need these things. You may need these accommodations or whatever the case is. For some people, that's extra time. For some people, that's like an extra copy of notes or whatever the case is. It could look very different at your school. But I think one thing that's important is talking to your professors as well. I think sometimes people forget that professors are also people. So, go to their office hours, talk to them, kind of get to know them, talk to them a little bit about, I guess, what's going on with you or how you're feeling about the class. Or if you feel like you may be struggling in a certain area or whatever the case is, try and also use them as a resource, because at the end of the day, whether it's you're paying or the school's paying, whoever is paying for it, at the end of the day, the education is being paid for. So you want to, make the most of your money, or whoever's money in that case. So talk to these resources, make the most of them, and do what you need to do for you. It may not be the same for your friend or the next person, but you know yourself, and you're going to continue to learn yourself throughout the process. You're not going to know immediately. Take your time, work through that process, and don't be afraid to ask for help as well. And try and ask for help early on. But yeah.
Nana, you had a strange way of connecting with your professors. Go ahead, Nana.
Like just to quickly talk about using disability resources. Like I personally get extra time for some of my classes because whenever I read something, it's hard for me to comprehend. Like it just doesn't click in my brain, so I have to read it over and over again to understand. So like I went to my professors and like I talked to them about what was going on with me, and they just gave me extra time. So that's what I get for exams and like sometimes even other assignments. But I have different ways of really like either communicating with a professor or like utilizing my resources. So when it comes to like talking to professors, I typically like on the first day of class, I show up late. And it doesn't work for everyone. It doesn't.
You intentionally show up late.
Yeah, I intentionally show up late, and usually the professor will look at me like,
"Please, we are not subscribing to that. This is Nanaya special." So,
like, you don't have to do that, but like that's something that I've done for the past 2 years, and it works. Like showing up late and going up to the professor and be like, like I got caught up in something, and so, like, sorry I'm late. My name is Ya, and then I get to know them on a personal level. I never go up and like ask them, because in high school we're told that, go up to your professor on the first day, ask them a random question about the lecture and stuff like that. And I feel like if you do that, you're just being a pet. And I personally don't like to be known as a teacher's pet. So I typically, like Mom said, like professors are humans, and just going up to them and really like just talking to them as human beings, asking them how their weekend was, just asking them how they're doing is a very good like approach in terms of talking to them. I mean, I'm not saying like you should show up late because it may not work for all and also like when it comes to resources, like I mentioned, my school is a predominantly white institution, and I realized like, okay, 1, I'm a Black student. 2, I'm a first generation college student. How do I utilize those two quote unquote negative connotations I have to my advantage? So that means that applying to certain leadership positions that are predominantly white, because they need diversity, they need that one Black face, but not saying that you have to be the token kid if you go to a PWI, but like really taking advantage of the resources you like, the thing about yourself, because I mean it also depends. It's different if you go to HBCU, but definitely for me, attending the school like this, like people, like I would say that, oh yeah, my essay will talk about the fact that I'm a first generation college student. I live in a single parent like household, etc. Plus I'm Black, and then whenever they see my name, they're like, oh, where are you from? And so with that, I use that. And I'm just like, okay, let me just apply to all of these things using these like things that I have. And it's mostly worked. And by God's grace, I've been able to be a part of different organizations because of that. But yeah, just realizing that, okay, these are the things that again, I asked.
Working smarter. I like that. Hey, Gina. Please.
Just to quickly add to what Nanaya said, like one of my professors told me that it's hard to fail a face. So once classes start, it's very, very important to like.
Nora, say that again. You say it's harder to do what?
It's hard to fail a face. So once you show your face, if you're on the verge of getting a B or a C, like they can quickly bump you up because they know you and you talk to them. Sometimes you might not even need to go to go talk to the professor after class, but just go just to, just make a friend or just to talk, just so they know you. So.
Mm, mm.
Yeah.
All right, Gina. Now, I want you to talk to these young people, especially those in sophomore, juniors, seniors. What are some of the things that you look back and you say, man, I wish I had done this, that you want them to take advantage of, in addition to the resource thing that we're talking about?
Okay. One of the things would be, I wish that I knew that whatever my major is doesn't define my career.
Mm.
So at that time, and it's the cultural upbringing that many of our parents will encourage us to choose like a solid career path in the vocations that they are familiar with. And I mean, I'm very grateful, and I still thank my parents to this day that I never felt the pressure of like, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer or this or that. They were super open, but you do see the examples of what the standards are, either from like your older siblings or, your older friends or family friends and things. So a lot of times when you're in those years where you have to decide what your major is between your sophomore and junior year, it's a lot of pressure, because even though you may have declared your major your freshman or sophomore year, you really get into the nitty gritty of it your junior, and you're finalizing everything your senior year. So many decisions ride on that one choice. What am I going to major in? What am I going to minor in? So I was one of those people. I started off with one major, switched to another, switched back, and I graduated with something completely different. And then I got my master's in something completely different. But what I do appreciate about that colorful tenure is that it made me a really well-rounded professional. And I'm very proud of that, because had I maybe stuck with, initially I was in the sciences, maybe had I only, and I love the fact that people like Mabna, Nanaya, you're doing multifaceted careers. You're not just saying it's biochem science, you're also majoring in Spanish, because that's gonna be a huge communication tool in your implementation, in your delivery, and how people will feel comfortable relating to you. So I appreciate the fact that I went through those different paths and channels, because I did gain some experience and some expertise, and even networking. The simple fact that I had so many majors. I had friends in different, schools of liberal arts, school of this, school of that. So whenever it came to picking classes or knowing certain careers that I would have never known about if I stayed in my little circle, I was able to leverage that and bring that all together, culminating into what I do today and what I hope to do in the future. I think another thing in your, middle years is really being, just really being focused. Your freshman year, you can try in as much as you want, like with the calendars and everything your freshman year, but the reality is that so many different things are being thrown at you that sometimes it's even hard to decide, what am I interested in? What am I focused on? So I do think that for me, my sophomore, junior year, I was a little bit more stable with the people I hung out with. I was a little bit more, I was more okay with saying no to things than I was freshman year. I think freshman year is the year of a lot of yeses. Like, you want to go here? Okay, yeah. You want to try this? Okay, yeah. But sophomore, junior year, you're kind of like, nah, I just want to kick back, or nah, I just want to do this. And people respect it a lot more generally in those years. I think another thing that I wish I knew to top it all off was that college is not the end of the world. And I did not realize that until my senior year. So everything for the first 18 years of your life that your parents, your school, your teachers, your circle, your tribe are going to prepare you for is for college. And sometimes we create this narrative like that's the end goal. That's like, the roadside to career or educational heaven, and that's it. There's life after that you probably don't plan around or think about in your first couple of years. So I wish that I had that advice, or I knew that there's life after college. What I do or what I decide to learn is not my end all be all. And I can definitely still create the path for my career that I want beyond college.
Mm. Okay. Mr. Bento, okay, what's your version? And for you, I want you to incorporate a support system that these young people have, that sometimes they find themselves in, they'll be like, I have this freedom. I don't even want to call home for them to think I'm homesick, but they're struggling with something, and they have the support system, but are reluctant to tap into it. What would you say to them?
Looking back, I think because the level of respect that we have for our parents, I think there's always going to be a big fear of disappointment, because you don't want to disappoint your parents, but you're going to make mistakes in school, and I'm only referencing educational mistakes. I'm hoping and praying that nobody makes any grave mistakes where they get into a lifestyle that sucks them in, where the end result isn't the best.
Right.
But you're going to make, in terms of education, in terms of decision making, you're going to make mistakes. And I would say, for me, when I went to school is when I would say me and my mom got really, really close. We would speak frequently, at least, if not 4 times in a week, probably at least once in a week, and a little update here and there, and then going about our day. But there were just things that, and this happens a lot with collegiate students. You probably know what's happening, and you're figuring out how to exit out that situation. It's just that you don't know how to explain it to somebody else. Like me, for example, I'm not too much of a talker. However, I can explain a lot of things, but sometimes I have the fear of explaining it to somebody else, and then them instilling their fear into me and detracting me from my original game plan, my original goal, and things can go haywire and scatter because of that. So also somebody too who didn't know what networking was, coming into college, like a lot of things were foreign to me. So when I was seeing people do certain things, I was like, why would you do that? Like, so like even to this day, like when people try to small talk me, and my coworkers try to have some conversations with me, I'm like, kind of not interested. I'm not gonna lie to you, but just because that's not just not my dynamic. Like if it's not organic and free flowing, I'm not gonna be apt to opening up like how other people would open up. Oh, my dog did this. Oh, my friend is doing this. Those type of things. But what I wish I'd had known was pretty much knowing that, and to a certain extent I was doing this, but I was doing it unknowingly. I just kept being in circles where I know I wasn't supposed to be and where I was supposed to be. So there'll be conversations about med school, different places in different med school locations, different processes and different ways and how to get to med school or nursing school or whatever the case may be. And I'll just be sitting there just listening to these people talk, not knowing that somewhere further on down the line, while I'm talking to somebody else who's interested in that same path, I'm giving them knowledge. But I was just sitting there, just soaking it up, just because I wanted to, just because I was curious, and I liked how the conversation was going. The whole entire time I didn't speak, but when it came to something that I was interested in, and even then I still didn't speak. I'll just be listening, because I already would be doing my research. But there's also other people's perspective and other people's experience where you probably might not be privy to. So the best thing to do in that situation is, okay, well, let me shut up and listen. Let me see what they're going to tell me. Let me see if it aligns with some of the research that I've seen. Then, you begin to talk with your teachers, because I wasn't comfortable doing that either. I like, a lot of my teachers gravitated towards me because I would always show up early for class. And
you're not like Nanaya.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I mean, I've showed up late. I've showed up late before. Me and the teacher and I, we laughed about it. I've gone to sleep in front of the teacher before. I'm not gonna lie about it.
Yeah.
There's classes where I was literally sitting in the front row seat. The teacher be teaching, my hand on my face, and I'm sleeping. I mean, it's life. But ultimately, I would say my teachers gravitated towards me because the energy that I displayed to them was never energy of hostility or anger. It was always a spirit of, I honestly don't know. I want to find out. So I would take advantage of the office hours and things of that nature. Just I like when I knew things were getting tough, I would just go and, just, even if it was a question to an answer that I already knew, I would still ask. Okay. And get further breakdown. That will help you a lot because, again, I believe it was Nora that said you can't fail a face. It's very true. If the teacher sees your face and you've emailed them and you've been to the office hours, you just gotta have a little bit of charm and no hostility. They're probably gonna show you favor. Instead of getting a C, they probably give you a B. All of that type of stuff. So just keep that in mind.
All right, so we're going to open the lines, guys. So I'm coming to you, Smooth, but just want guys to get ready with your questions. And if you have a question that you want to direct to a particular person, we'll do that. So Brother Yap, just please get ready. Smooth, so give us your version. How did you use your support system? And if you don't mind sharing your personal examples.
Yeah, well, I guess what I'll say is, what I kind of wish I did take advantage of was having a more personal relationship with my professors, because kind of like what Kuku said, if you just go to class and just go in and leave, versus someone who actually goes to office hours, spends time with a professor, and kind of gets to know them, I feel like your professors will kind of grade you a little bit more better than someone else, because they have the more personal relationship for you. I guess that's just in my experience, because I know when I was in school, we had things where you can go with your professors, just a group of students, that your professors will take you out to like a dinner, and just to get to know them and talk. And because you're building that personal relationship, like those professors, they would be more willing to give you like networking tips. I know that professor came up to me and offered me some networking, giving me some networking people to talk to. So I guess once you have that personal relationship with them, because once you're in college, you can go to your professors, you can talk to them like friends. Yeah, and some of them are cool. Like some of them are like real cool. So and then once you can develop that relationship, and then you go talk to them more, they will give you they will hook you up with like networks. They can even hook you up with jobs. So just definitely take advantage of that. I wish I did that with more of my professors.
Okay. All right. So I guess we're going to open the lines. If somebody has a question, you can put them through. And then, so whilst we're waiting for that, is can you hear me?
Yeah, I'm here.
Do you have any questions from the audience?
I think, yeah.
Okay, go ahead. We're ready. So if...
Oh, okay. Yeah, sorry, I was muted. So the question is, what advice do you have for engaging in extracurricular activities outside your comfort zone, or activities outside the comfort zone? And what year do you recommend beginning?
Who wants to take it? Abena, you can start.
All right. Great question, Ben. I would say, well, at my school, at least, during like the first week, I believe we have something called org fair or organization fair. So basically, it's just all the different like on-campus organizations set up tables, and you can get to meet the students and meet the different organizations on campus and learn when they meet and things like that. What is their mission? All that stuff. So I would say definitely like your first year, feel free to, if your school has something similar to that, it may look different with this online format, but definitely use that resource. And I mean, go to these things. You don't know unless you try. I'm not saying you have to do everything or you have to try everything. Know yourself, know your limits as well. But I would definitely say like first year is a good time to kind of explore and try these different activities or whatever the case is. Because I mean, it's not everything that you sign up for that you have to commit to. You don't know unless you know. So go. If you don't like it, cool. You don't like it, you don't have to do it. Everything is your choice at that point. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Anybody wants to add something to before we go to the next question?
Yeah, go ahead.
I'm sorry.
Now do your thing.
I think that with extracurricular activities, it's that is. And I think that one thing that we all need to realize, for me, I had to realize, was being open-minded and realizing that the stuff that I was interested in high school that I wouldn't have time for, or I may not enjoy. So I feel like in high school we all try to like pretty much the resume. And it is the same thing for college as well, but I think that in college, if you have so much time that you can actually do stuff, and if you're doing something just because you wanted to look good on your resume, then you're and if you don't like it, then it's going to be really crappy. But I think that for me personally, I told myself that I wasn't gonna really do anything my first semester because I just really wanted to see how rigorous the course work was in school. So I started really getting more involved my second semester of first year. But then I took a little break last year, and then this year, like, I got super involved. So it's not really a specific date. I just say that just be open. Like a lot of the things I'm a part of, like a part of right now, I really never thought that I would be a part of certain organizations. Like it's like minded and just like, oh, let me just try this out, see how it is. But being really open-minded and understand the type of person you are really will make you enjoy the stuff that you participate in.
All right, Kweku.
Yeah. So what I'll say is that joining organizations is something that you should look forward to doing your first year, as long as you know that, again, back to what I say, you have to be real with yourself. Do you really want to take on 5 organizations with five classes? You know, like be honest with yourself. Like, be honest with what you can handle. But I will also say that don't bank on the extracurricular activity organization groups being your end all be all post college. Because what I've come to realize is that you stating that you are part of the Student Government Association, or you are part of the Greek Association, or whatever the case may be, those merits only hold weight to be totally transparent and honest. I only think they hold weight for internship positions, and most internship positions aren't paid. I could be speaking out of pocket. Somebody can come correct me, but those organizations and all the different types of organizations that are on campus are literally to sprout the seed that was planted in you, whether you are a child, whether you're in elementary school, middle school, high school, or during a conversation with somebody. Like there's certain seeds that are planted within you that in college, with the right organization, they'll water it, and you'll see the growth from it. So use them for that advantage, because in school, everybody's like, oh, it looks good on your resume to be a part of this group, I'm trying to tell you right now, I joined 3 or 4 groups that was supposed to be a good look. They did absolutely nothing for me. Absolutely nothing. However, what I learned and what I applied has helped shape how I operate in these professional settings, because those skills are good. So like I said, a lot of what you will learn in organizations, even within yourself, those seeds were planted in you long time ago. Long time ago. You may not remember when, you may not remember how, but those seeds were planted. And that organization, with the people that you work with the struggles that you went through, the success that you went through, all of those waters help sprout who you will be when you finally decide to make your decision outside of school, when you decide to join other organizations, because you never know what you're going to join when you get outside of school. You could be joining, it could be a prayer group. It could be a photography group. It could be a car group or whatever the case may be. Whatever you're into, whatever was planted in you is definitely going to be sprouted once you join an organization. And it can be overwatered, but you just have to know, you have to be real with yourself. This is not a good environment for me. I need to be out. So yeah.
All right. I think a couple of people say they have questions. If you can unmute them so they can ask your questions, please.
Okay, so there's a question before I will unmute them, but there's a question. Poke says, how do you handle peer pressure when you go to school? And I think I'll add that, like, if someone has an example, it would be great to, like.
I'll go ahead and tell you right now.
Hold on. I know I'll come to you. I know. Let my girl take this one, and then we'll transition to you. Gina, go ahead.
Okay. Yao, you were saying that you wanted an example, or the person who asked the question should give an example?
No. I was saying you can, when you're answering the question, you can add an example of like a time that.
Okay, got you. Okay. So my response to that, my college experience was a little bit different, because I think that the answer is in the example, but I'll say the answer first. I think that the only way to handle peer pressure is to be fully aware that it exists when you go there and that you're not above it. And I think I mentioned that earlier, that there are more factors working against you than there are factors working for you in this college environment. Yes, there are resources. Yes, there are professors and different educational paths you can take, but those work for everybody. But for you as an individual, the day-to-day people that you meet and the environments you find yourself in, the friends you make, there are more factors probably working, not like they're intentionally working against you, but their lifestyles may not match up with what you've been raised to understand and know. So it's working against you in one way or the other. So I think you have to be very realistic with yourself when you go into school. And I think the quicker that you may not fully know your purpose, your calling, and all of those things from the day you walk in, but you definitely need to know who you are, whose child you are, your Heavenly Father and your earthly parents, and who you want to come out as. The quicker you can sit yourself down and have that conversation, you will know what you are willing to do and what you're not willing to do, how far you're willing to go and how far you are not willing to go. And honestly, that will bleed into every other relationship you have in life, your relationship with your job, because if they try to overwork you, you need to be able to say, I don't have the bandwidth to do this, and not overcommit yourself.
But Akosia, you had a strategy on how to handle that peer pressure. Please, I would love to hear that.
Yeah, I'm getting there. Okay. But I just think that it's important for everyone to know the value in that conversation and that thing that you do from day one and how it floods into every other area of your life. So for me personally, my example or my strategy was that coming into college, there were 3 things that I said were my non-negotiables. These were just for me personally. One of them was that I'm not a drinker, so I'm not going to drink. I'm not a smoker, so I'm not going to smoke. And then I didn't want to be in a relationship. I had things that these were like my pillars of truth for me. Now, did I have other friends who were also God-fearing, who didn't necessarily practice the same things? Absolutely. But was I in a position to judge their integrity because of that? No way. And you should not carry yourself in a way like you're above them just because like, oh, I'm a Christian and maybe I don't do this or I don't do that. Because all of our walks are different and all of our callings differ from each other. So for me, that was my compass. That was my moral compass, because as I said, it was very important for me to prove to myself that this is, your first major chance at taking a stab at life. How can you control yourself? How can you really be an individual? And I wanted to test my personal willpower, because up until then I was in a very sheltered environment. And after college, who knows what happens? So I gave myself those 4 years to test my willpower, to test my extent, to test my endurance. and to stick with it. And just to even walk away with saying that this was something I said I would not do, and the 4 years are over and I haven't done it. So for me, that was big. That was big for me. And that was what I used to kind of dodge and resist some of those pressures. I would finally add, though, that be fully aware that when people know that you don't drink, or you don't want to smoke, or they can't pass anything to you, or you don't want to be in a relationship, you do become a heavy target, because like
That's
I
right.
said, we would do everything to
get
make
you.
sure. Yes. So you can get somewhere and you ask for water. As soon as it gets in your hand, you know, like, this ain't no water. You know, you have to kind of like, you always have to think like 2-3 steps.
Yeah.
So just be aware that there's a caveat to that too.
Okay. Kweku.
I like the pillars thing. That's a good idea. Yeah, I think that's a good idea. I just wanted to say that.
Okay. Kweku. Then Nora, you take the next question. Then Abena. Kweku, go ahead.
So yeah, peer pressure is real. I was telling Uncle Ernest this the other day, and I was just like, look, if your friends or your peers, however you want to label them, if they don't respect your no, you have to begin to start the clock, because only two things can happen. They may not like it for a little bit and then begin to respect it, or they'll continue to disrespect you because you said no to whatever they're trying to get you to do. And those type of things fall in the line of mostly the drugs and the alcohol. So, like, for example, I know a lot of the students that were doing biology and chemistry and all of that. When I was studying with them, they'll be popping Adderall, and that's supposed to help you focus and stay focused. Have I seen it work for them? 100%. Did they try to give it to me? 100%. Did I say no? 100%, because I don't do those type of things. And once they knew that I didn't do those type of things and I was adamant about it, they didn't bother me on it because they respected my no. But the people that didn't respect my no, I would always have a problem with, because I would be the subject of a joke unnecessarily. And that's just because, people want to, have their time, be shown in some light, all of those other type of things, and that's not healthy. So you need to begin to look at those type of things and separate yourself from those type of people, because there's been several physical altercations that have happened because of that. I wouldn't say for me, because I like to mind my business. But there's been several fights based off of those different type of things, because it almost comes off as bullying. And I understand it too. I'll also say that peer pressuring isn't only relationships, alcohol and drugs. Nah, like, you're broke in college. Don't let anybody fool you. Unless your parents gave you you were born with a silver spoon, you're broke in college. It's easy to go to Walmart and take you some French fries to have available on the weekend, because the food is not good at the cafe on the weekend. That option is very much there. You don't need anybody else to do those type of things. You can do that by yourself. So peer pressure is everywhere. You know what I'm saying? But it's up to you. You know what I'm saying, to how you want to shine your eye. And hey, if you do fall short, it's life. You're, like I said earlier, you're gonna make mistakes. Just you don't want to make a mistake that's a very grave one, because man, some of y'all can speak to this. I don't know if y'all are fully aware. People in this new age, going between 18 to 25, scamming is probably the number one thing to do right now. It's the easiest way to get quick money. It's the easiest way to flex. Half these kids have more designer in their closet than I do, and I don't, and I work a full-time job. And these designers aren't cheap. We're talking at least north of $800 to $1,500 for some of the things that they have: sneakers, belts, t-shirts, jeans, whatever you name it. Some of these kids have these type of money, and they're getting it not the legal way. It's going to be easy for them to show you that, well, I'm getting this money while we're in school. Once we get out, I can establish, whatever. No, you can easily get caught up. You can easily get in trouble with those different type of things. So just be conscious of and be aware that literally everything that glitters isn't gold. I don't care how, if the person has the most flashiest things in the world, has the belt, has the pinky ring, has the t-shirt, if they can't feed themselves, you have to question it. If they have to ask you, for $5 to go to McDonald's to get them a chicken, some fries, and a sweet tea, but yet they have all this designer on, question it. Well, why you only want to look good, but you want to, some people, I'm not gonna lie, some people will save their $220 to buy some Jordans and go hungry for a month or two. That's fine.
Wow.
But it's that's related to a specific thing. But I'm talking about if they have consistently are buying the latest and greatest, latest laptop, latest whatever, but they kind of have $5 to feed themselves over the weekend when y'all are just chilling and kicking it, and they always got to ask somebody else for money. Question it. Know that put it like your parents say, mark it on the wall. Begin to write the last day that you affiliate with that person, because you can be caught just by guilty by association. I've seen this happen before, so I'm not just speaking just to speak. Like I know people who scam and people who didn't scam, but because they affiliate with them and been around them and probably didn't benefit anything from them, you're guilty by association. So just something to keep in mind.
It's getting hot, guys. You see what you started. Okay, y'all. Next question, man.
I think Mr. Gavois had a question.
Okay, if you can put him through, please.
Yeah, he can unmute.
Mr. Gavois, go ahead.
Yeah, okay. Thank you very much, Pastor Dudu, for this program. Very timely. And listening to the panelists, I believe the information is real solid. The question I'm going to ask may or may not be relevant, but I'm asking this question from the perspective of somebody who helps counsel young people who get ready to go into marriage. And I was talking to one person, and they told me that their greatest regret on campus was that they didn't hook up, they didn't enter into any relationship, and they only concentrated so much on their books, because they realized when you come out of school, sometimes associations narrow up. So the options are a little limited. When you come out of school. So I want to throw this out to you guys. What do you think? Do you think when you go out there to school, even as you focus on your books and other things, you should also be looking out to entering into a relationship? And when I say this, I don't mean bad relationships, entering into premarital sex. We don't normally, support that. But then, is it good to enter into some kind of relationship? What's your view? It's a question I want to throw out there to see what people think about it. I have a daughter who go to college, and I can advise based on most of the information we get here.
All right, Nora.
Okay.
I didn't ask it. They set you up. Go ahead.
Okay, so I think for me, my college years for me was to grow in myself and get to know myself. And like Gina said, I wasn't interested in being in any relationship because all I wanted was to focus on myself. And I think that there's nothing wrong with wanting to get married right out of college, because that's what some people, that's what they want. And some people, that's their calling or whatever. However, if you don't meet someone in college, like, it's not the end of the world. I really don't think you're missing anything if you're not in a relationship while you're in college. Me, that's the time for you to grow. That's the time for you to get to know yourself. That's the time for you to grow in your relationship with God, and just find things that you like or don't like. Like, attaching someone else to yourself at that age is just too much stress. That is just adult stress, as I call it, that you don't need at the time. So I don't really think that is important to be in a relationship at that time. If you can wait, just wait it out. I think most people, when I started, I had friends who wanted to get married by 23. So, while they were in college, all they were looking for is to be in this relationship, look good for this person. This guy is looking at me this way. Does he like me? That just takes too much energy and stress that I don't think is necessary. When it's your time, it will happen for you. It might be 5 years, after college, 10 years after college, but you shouldn't stress yourself, waste your time looking for someone when, and also the boys in college, we're all young, we're all like growing, we're all searching for ourselves. There's no point you being immature, going for someone else who is also immature, and that's just a disaster in my point of view. Yeah.
Man, all right, man. I'm so proud of you, man. Y'all know how you blessed me with that. Akosia,
Yes,
you want you want to take a shot at it?
I second everything Nora says.
Okay.
It's a big no for me. For me, I think that back to what Nora was saying, culturally in the U.S. of good old A, college is not the pedigree or the quality of the type of people that our parents are raising us to pursue meaningful relationships with.
Mm-hmm.
In this today, in this US of A, I don't believe that college is the best place to find that. I don't think it's impossible, but the chances of you finding a quality, serious, meaningful relationship where you're not going to be pressured into giving yourself up sexually, giving up your morals, or even if the two of you are believers, you will miss a huge maturity factor, because relationships are also about decisions, choosing to love the person, sacrifice and commitments. So if you have not fully mastered how you're doing that for your own livelihood and your advancement, you two will be either given too much of each other for each other and lose yourself somewhere down the line. So yes, you can get married right after school, but then when work, kids, whatever comes in 10, 15 years later, you're going to be like, what did I get myself into? Or maybe not. But for me, it was enough, like the quality of gentlemen. I don't even know if I should call them gentlemen. The quality of guys in college, they're really great to look at and be friends with. They'll get you a free meal here and there, But as far as putting a title and looking at marriage, I would say no.
Okay. Yeah. Can we go to the next question, please?
I don't think we have any more questions at the time.
Okay. I think Pastor joined us, and anytime he wants to come on, please put him through. So let me ask this. You know how sometimes you say that in high school, for example, I see that the high schoolers do it a lot. I don't like this teacher. Dad, can you go and change my class? I don't like this teacher, that sort of thing. College is different, okay? Yes, there may be a class, but a couple or 3 professors, and those classes fill up. So you might get a professor that you don't like. How do you drag yourself? How do you slap? Nanaya, you're going to take this one. How do you slap yourself and say, wake up? You have to do this.
Oh, shoot. I just realized I was on mute. I think that for me personally, I can't really change my classes because, if I don't like a professor, I can't really change it because like the nursing school has not a lot of professors.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's a very small school. So you can change your professors in other schools, but I think that if you don't have that option, just utilizing the TAs will be really good. I've only had one experience where I just generally did not like the professor. It got to a point where I'll just go to class and just walk out because I just could not, I just didn't like the professor at all. And so what I just decided to do was, okay, if I'm not going to pay attention in class, I'm just going to make sure I do all the readings. I just do everything that the professor asks me to do and not question their intelligence, because I think that it's frustrating when you're in a class where the professor is very authoritative and very just problematic. And so just doing whatever the professor tells you to do, if you have any concerns, talking through the TA to the professor and just like really doing whatever they tell you to do, because if you can't switch out, then there's nothing you could really do but really doing what they tell you to do, using the TAs. And also sometimes I think one issue that we may face when we're starting a course is we usually ask people before, oh, how was this class? And if they say, oh, this class was so bad, I didn't have a good experience with this class, it really creates this like perception of the professor, and it's like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna do so bad in this class, et cetera, et cetera. But I think it's good to ask people, but then again, you have to realize that everyone's experience with one person, like one professor, would totally be different. So going in, if you know that a professor is just not good, going in with an open mind and just like going in to just learn, it will really be really important. I know that we had a professor in our nursing school that like so many people complained about her that like they just like fired her basically. And with my experience with that professor was so interesting because she had a lot of anxiety issues when she was teaching a large class. So what she would typically do is after every class, she would have office hours, and it was a smaller group of students. So I always show up to the office hours, ask her questions, and it was chemistry. So chemistry is really hard. So I asked her questions, etc. And I remember one time I like forgot to answer at least 5 questions on the homework, and her policy was, if you forget to do the questions in the homework, that's it. And she came to me literally like quietly, and she was like, hey, you didn't finish these questions, you should finish them. But then everyone else had a negative like perception. Yeah, Ray, my professor, is really good. My school has this thing called course forum that we use, but just really having an open mind. And if you go into the course and the professor is just really bad, just do what they ask you to do and just go in ready to learn.
Yeah, I was gonna say I use ratemyprofessors.com. I don't know if that site's still up, but it actually did help me choose good teachers. Because basically,
Smooth, can you say that again, because I want everybody to catch that.
Yeah, so ratemyprofessors.com. Personally, I use
ratemyprofessor.com.
Ratemyprofessors.com. I'm not sure if the site is still up or not. It's still up, yeah. But basically, I'm sure a lot of students already know it, but a bunch of students rate professors that they had with a letter grade, A, B, C, D, and it kind of explained why they didn't like them, what they did good, what they didn't do good. Personally, I used it and it helped me choose a lot of good professors. And a lot of things that they were saying were kind of true. So you could at least use that as a guide to choosing classes.
Okay. Yeah, do we have any question? If you can let Pastor in, I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay.
He's.
Can you let Pastor in if you can, please?
Yeah, he's getting ready to talk.
Okay. So let me ask this question. Now, we talked earlier about the balancing act. Man, all of you, you've been on campus. Those 3 of you've been on campus. I mean, this party atmosphere, man. And you might find yourself in a situation where you have to party a little bit. How do you handle it? And especially for these freshmen that I see Ms. Tufor is on. Please talk to her or talk to some of our freshmen, even continuing students, how to handle these little parties there. We talk about the balance. I mean, you have to enjoy your college life. But how do you handle this so that, remember, maintaining your sanity? Anybody wants to pick it up?
I don't mind going first.
Go ahead.
Look, man, go and party, okay? Go and sightsee. Go see how crazy white people are. Go see how crazy the black people are. Go see how crazy. If your school is has like Middle Eastern or Asians, or go. Honestly, like the reason why I'm saying go party is because a lot of people probably didn't pay attention to this, but I did, and that's how I was able to navigate with certain people, and I noticed when certain people changed and picked up different behaviors. So, let's say, for example, freshmen, you on campus, you done been on campus 2 weeks, you done met these people. Oh, he's so cool, she's so cool. We hanging out, we eating at the caf, we sharing food. You coming to my dorm to drink water? I'm coming to your dorm to drink water. We having a good old time. Da 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 da. But guess what? Homecoming comes around. Homecoming is where all the alumni come up, all these fun activities, give away free stuff. School is giving better food depending on where you go.
But we remember we have COVID.
I mean, I'm just saying, and for those who are on campus, I'm giving this example because history does repeat itself, and it's going to repeat itself in a weird way, even when COVID leaves. Because if COVID's not going to be here all 4 years, and you're going to go to college all 4 years, no matter what, a school is going to have a homecoming. And the reason why I'm saying go is because after homecoming, they have homecoming parties, homecoming events. The homecoming will tell you how somebody will either end their college career or how they will begin to move within after homecoming. It will tell you whether they're the person that they showed you that they are, or there's something else there that you have to begin to start questioning.
Stay away from.
Because homecoming is where it's pushed for everybody to come and participate in something. Of course, they have the big party. Of course, they have the big football game. Of course, they have pep rallies and stuff like that. But those are all interactive events for not only their alumni, for them to get money, and for everybody to have a good, grand old time. But when the alumni come, they begin to rub shoulders with some of the young people, and they begin to get access to people who are, going back to what we talked about in the beginning, influencers. So these people carry weight, they're popular, whatever the case may be, and you as somebody who is new or have probably been there a while but haven't really associated yourself with people, and you want to, do some due diligence and get to know people and, see what's popping, see what's fun. Sometimes you'll be introduced to things that you haven't been, that you're not familiar with, and if you're not careful, you become addicted to. Okay. Like I said, for the example, scamming or Adderall, or if we're doing the common alcohol and weed, or whatever they go smoking, whatever the case may be. Once that person begins to establish some habits that you're not familiar with and things that you haven't discussed, if the actions don't match up the words, begin to put question marks on it, begin to distance yourself.
Run away.
Because the minute there's an opportunity for them to embarrass you, trust me, they're gonna take it. Because one thing for sure, two things for certain, nobody's ever super comfortable with their dirty laundry being out there. If you know how somebody was prior to them coming to school and they begin to change, because you have access to that type of story, they're gonna find a way to villainize you. That's happened to me. There was people from school I know, like I know how your mother is. I know she was here today and she saw what you were doing. She was gonna slap you. I know all of that. But when you came to school, you began to affiliate with these certain people, and then you began to change. Not for the good, for the better. Now, it could be a situation where they picked up a bad habit, but they've gone on and still being successful. Like I know plenty of people who smoke, who cannot wake up in the morning before they even pray to God. They have to smoke first. You understand what I'm saying? Like I know plenty of people like that, and they're successful, 6-figure incomes, nice car, apartment or house, depending on how they want to do it. There's plenty of people like that. However, that habit is what you begin to question, because it's just like, what other bad habit did you or what other habit did you pick up? So I always say, pay attention to what happens after homecoming all the time. Homecoming will tell you exactly how everything else will play out for the rest of the year and going forward. That person might mess up one full calendar year and come back to you because you were the same person and you remain responsible. I'm only speaking like that because that's what's happened to me. Anytime I was in school, I wasn't always the one thing my friends would always say is that Quaku's responsible. I can give Quaku my keys and my phone, and I know tomorrow if I'm too drunk or whatever, he's gonna have it for me. Some of these people departed away from me because of some school drama, whatever the case may be. Ultimately, at the end of the day, when they found out it wasn't true and I stayed consistent and I was the same person I was when I came in, I found favor. So I began to build equity within these people. So if I ever call these people for anything, or if they ever call me for anything, they know that they will get done, or I know it will get done because I built up a level of equity within them of consistency. So again, not to beat a dead horse, but just pay attention to how people react at parties and after homecoming, because then you'll know, all right, I don't need to be around you, or I need to be around you more.
Okay, we have like 10 more minutes. Yeah, you want to put Pastor through, please?
Yeah, he's coming in.
Okay.
He's in.
Hello, Pastor. Is he on?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, Pastor George, welcome. Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Your children, and your grandchildren were having a conversation. We're having a little conversation. If you have something you want to add to it, not just for freshmen, but for continuing students too.
Well, I was listening, and I feel a lot of good things are being shared. All I'm going to suggest to them is that for those on campus, stay in touch with those you hear talking and those who are ahead of you, because as issues come up, you want to be able to call somebody, talk with them, ask them for advice, because we couldn't have covered everything in this session. So get to know the numbers of these people: Gina, Kweku, Joey, who is the next person?
Nora.
Yes, Nora. Yeah, get their numbers, and also those who are not even on the panel, Mabana and others, and talk to them. Put them on speed dial. If you have any issues, call them. If you call me, my information is too old. So stay in touch with them and listen to them. But when you were talking about dating on campus, I think you were getting the lady's perspective. You never got the guy's perspective. But one thing I'm going to warn the guys about, be very careful. You start dating a lady on campus, the dad might start sending her bills to you. And that will not be good.
Pastor, it was Pastor Gavwa that started that whole confusion, or it wasn't me.
I know. I heard his question. The question was legit anyway, but the ladies were giving their perspective. For the guys, I'm saying that, look, if you go start dating somebody's daughter on campus and then, the bills come, they might send it to you, hey, you want to take over, take the bills too. So be careful. Okay. That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Okay. So, yeah, do we have one final question for our panel?
No. That's it. I think that's the only questions we have.
Okay. We have all night tonight, so please make sure you get on. Those that are on campus, please dial in. It's going to be great. All night tonight from 10 to 12. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank you guys, man. Mabana, thank you so much. I appreciate the knowledge that you're sharing. Nanaya, hey, Ashton lady. Now, even when you speak, I don't even understand, man. These white folks are having an influence on you. Thank you so much. Love you too much. Okay, Nora, appreciate you coming on to give us the knowledge. Wala, Wakosia. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Mr. Kweku Bento. Man, you making this place so hot. Thank you so much. And Smooth. Hey, guys, Smooth has not paid my royalties. We gave him this nickname Smooth from what? Sunday school, and he still hasn't paid the royalties. Lawyer, I'm still waiting.
I got you. Don't worry.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all, man. And for our friends and family that tune in, we just want to say we love you. Stay tuned. God willing, we're going to come out with another topic few weeks in the future. And our producer, Yao, thank you so much for everything, man, guys. Thank you. Good night.